Welcome to 5 Stripe Weekly. Atlanta United dropped points in 2 matches this week, but still finds itself in a prime playoff spot. Can we secure where we want to be for the postseason come decision day? We discuss all that and more coming up.
Welcome to the show, 5 Stripe fam. I'm AJ, this is Tanner McLeod. Before we get into it, become part of the notification squad by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button on YouTube or hop over to Facebook and subscribe. The 100th episode of 5 Stripe Weekly. Wow. Thank you guys so much for everything, for watching, for subscribing, for sharing, for liking, everything. It means so much to us. And so we want to do a giveaway, and it's a Tito Villalba signed Atlanta United ball. Stay tuned at the end of the episode to find out how to win. But before that, let's thank our sponsor. This segment is sponsored by Mojitos Bistro. Mojitos at the Forum, where you can find a slice of Miami and Havana right here in Atlanta. They offer Cuban cuisine made with recipes from their mom's cookbook. For more on the awesomeness at Mojitos, check our description box below. It's another jam-packed episode, so let's start off with the NYCFC match. It's one to forget, I think, for the fans, but definitely for the team, I think that they should probably watch this on repeat and so that they can not let this happen again, because it's a 4-1 loss at Yankee Stadium. Just a really kind of shocking performance that I think has become commonplace when we ship a goal early and then it's just heads drop.
It's been symptomatic of Atlanta United on the road almost all season, if we're being honest. You had similar performances in the first half against LAFC and Chicago that when the goal started going in, the team didn't seem to know what to do. Chicago game, you can look at another bad performance from LGP. And yes, I think it's easy to single him out for criticism in this match because 3 of the 4 goals probably on the whole, he made individual mistakes that allowed the goal scorer to get in. But it's not entirely his fault. It's a team failure on a whole level from the coach to the playing staff. So it was, it's a night to forget, but at the same time, it's a night to remember for that team because you cannot afford to put in a performance like that in the playoffs.
Yeah,
so,
especially allowing Alexandru Mertrita to get a hat trick. Bear just coming back into the team, gets a goal. It's just one of those things where, I think, like we were saying earlier before the show, LGP, I think, probably was getting targeted. Miles Robinson, one-on-one is a rock normally.
And he makes the mistake. Yes, that happens. Mm-hmm. But I think that, it's just like...
And I think our right center back and left center backs are being targeted in a sense because they know, Miles Robinson isn't going to win a lot of, or against Miles Robinson, you're not going to win a lot of one-on-ones. And so with, targeting those kind of weaker points of the defense and knowing that our wingbacks probably aren't going to track back as much and, it's just because they're not naturally defenders, it becomes a little bit more glaring and highlighted because of that. And it's tough. I think coming into the game when you have pretty much Tito Villalba playing left wing back, at least, for some portion of the match, he was very out of place. He
had a howler.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, it was not a good game for him.
No. He had a chance to score with his left as well. I think it was just, he kind of snatched at that chance as well. It was just, all in all, yes, it's good that he got a run out, but, it's just, I think, wasn't the game for him, I think, at that position at the very least. And then I think it's also good, though, in one regard, that Frank de Boer was able to at least experience Yankee Stadium. So, at least maybe if there is that instance that we play there, in the playoffs, then there's at least maybe some lessons that he can learn. But
he definitely needs to learn them, though, when you think about it. Because I think that's the most frustrating things for a lot of fans going into this match was that when you watched it, you felt that it was almost entirely preventable.
Yeah.
And from the get-go, the tactical setup appeared wrong. You were playing Franco Escobar on the right, who's not as defensively sound in terms of his positioning when he's playing as a right wing back as opposed to a right center back when he's a bit more restricted. You didn't have Julian Gressel to do the hard work out there. You're playing Tito Villalba in a position he's never played before as a professional, and who's definitely not going to give you any defensive cover. Then you played with the midfield too, and we talked about the need to have a Jeff Larentowicz in that game because he could at least shield you from the counter. Eric Remedi had one of his worst games, and you could see that Frank de Boer was frustrated with him after the match, after he substituted him, because he couldn't keep his positioning because we were playing man-to-man in midfield. Mm-hmm. And it across the whole pitch, really, and it allowed NYCFC to have all the space they wanted to attack the weaknesses in the center backs in those one-on-one situations. And because of DeBoer's tactics, you put your players in a position to fail. And then the players backed it up by putting in a performance that was failure.
Yeah. No, it's true. But yeah, the lone, I think, kind of positivity from this match, I think, is that PT does get on the score sheet. He does pass that ball to Vasquez, who wins that penalty for him. And then, he is able to take a penalty finally because Josef Martinez is not in the squad. So, yeah, I mean, I think PT seeing the back of the net is a good thing, I think, in order for his confidence, because he's definitely, I think, a confidence type of player for sure. But I think, yeah, I mean, all in all, when we allow them 16 shots, 8 on target, and we only get 10. I mean, it's kind of been the tale of, I think, September. I mean, it's been kind of forward in terms of us creating a bunch of chances, and especially, of course, it's always harder with Josef Martinez out. And so that is like, you guys do need to step up in that regard. And then, yeah, I mean, there's just some really big examples of shoddy defending in this match. Another one being Flo Pogba conceding that penalty, kind of bowls over Maxi Morales. I mean, I'm not even sure what he's thinking.
Well, but the positive was that the penalty was just about as bad as a challenge.
Exactly.
So it went hand in hand.
Yeah, it was. Thankfully, he didn't put that in because that would have buried the entire match completely.
4-0 halftime. Yikes.
Exactly. But yeah. So and then we were talking about Eric Remedi. Yeah, Mo Adams came in, probably got a yellow card, and he is out for the next match, right? And then it's kind of just the state of affairs, I think, at Yankee Stadium for this match. But in terms of getting into the post-match quotes, Frank de Boer had some very, I think, frank things to say, no pun intended. He says, "We want to play in big games. This is a big game. This is a big game. You have to also play with a big mentality. That we didn't show in the first half." He also said, "We were reacting the first half and not anticipating. The first 3 goals, it's like a long ball, more of a counterattack than a build-up. Then it's about mentality and winning duels. In the first half, they were winning those duels and creating chances." And Brad Guzan, he also chipped in with some things about our performance. He said, "We were chasing shadows. They are a good team, and we were nowhere near on the same level as them today." And yeah, it's just, I mean, I think the players know that, yeah, this was not the right performance. Going into it, of course, the lineup being questionable, there's just a lot of very questionable things that were happening in this match.
I think the best way to sum up this whole match was Aaron Hyde's little bit before the second half, and that can be summed up in one word: rubbish. Moving on.
Yep, so getting to a kind of slightly happier match. It was at Stade Saputo, or Saputo Stadium in Montreal. Against the Impact, we drew them 1-1, and yeah, I mean, not a lot of things happened in this match, but I think, some of the positives definitely is Julian Gressel getting on the score sheet.
That was a fantastic goal.
Yeah, the 1-2, yeah, it was tasty, and I think with the other goal, it was Bojan who pretty much was able to free himself from Miles Robinson and just find himself free in the box. And
it also helps when LGP dives into a tackle 20 yards from goal with no cover and gives completely misses and allows the defender to take the ball all the way down with no pressure to the byline, have time to pick up a wide open Bojan, and then they score. Yeah, when that happens, it's not shocking you concede a goal.
Right, but I think some of the other positives. That's not a positive, obviously, but some of the positives that we can take away from this match is that we were creating some good chances. Obviously, yes, it's a kind of inferior defense as opposed to NYCFC, of course, but I think the fact is that we were creating them, and we had a lot of shots on target that, arguably, if the keeper didn't stand on his head, maybe it would be a different type of day.
Also, to be fair, though, Brendan Vasquez missed a sitter. Then there was a couple times on the break where PT had tried a chipped effort. Barca wasn't in a great position for a pass, but still, there were some opportunities you felt when the game was opening up because Montreal had to win. That if Atlanta United had played their cards right, they could have gotten that goal to get all 3 points. But it felt too often that they were taking those extra touches. They were unsure of where to play the ball, and if you did get the ball, you didn't take a quality finish.
Yeah.
So it was frustrating to see that, especially especially with so few games left in the season, you need to start getting some confidence. You need to start finding some form with the playoffs. And for the good there was also bad, and you get a draw.
Right, but there's a disallowed VAR goal that, I think kind of plays into that where, we were kind of still snatching at our chances within that. Tito puts it away finally, but yes, Miriam is ultimately offside because, the ball comes off of the crossbar, and Miriam is off, just slightly, and I think with a leg and an arm, but still. And so, it's one of those things where that at least they got it right in that regard. But, obviously, I think it's still 2 points drop for most people in their minds. This is a team that we should beat. And the fact that we didn't, it's still actually somehow works out for us.
Yeah, it was also our first road draw of the season and our last road match of the regular season.
Baffling. But we've had 10 losses, I believe, on the road this season. That's almost the polar opposite of what we were doing last season. And some more positives, I think that, Pkwy getting his 300th appearance in MLS, really actually, he helped solidify our defense, I think. Big difference from NYCFC. Also, a different attack that we faced, but still a very, I think, potent attack in Montreal. So, Pkwy and Larry coming in, I think solidified some things, provided some leadership that I think we sorely needed in terms of organization and in terms of just knowing where to be positionally. So I think that was fantastic to see. And I think, we'll need and probably need to rely on these guys, going into the playoffs, really for sure, because they're going to be facing, their former team, the Revolution. So that will be something that hopefully does happen. But in terms of, I think the Barco free kick was incredible.
Before you even get to the free kick, the fact that he came back from injury, I think, is the most important thing. He finally got back on and got some minutes, and then, that free kick.
Yeah, it shows that, he's still, that quality is still absolutely there, but Clement Diop is just equal to it, and it's hella annoying because, yes, we had a bunch of chances to really put this match away.
Evan Bush would not have saved that.
No, I don't think so, for sure not. But and then so I think also Tito had a curler that was on target that, he took it in a kind of half turn, and then, it would have been a beautiful one that would have boosted his confidence.
Wouldn't have been the first banger from that distance he scored against the Impact either. Taking it out of 2017 when he scored that one. He scores bangers against them.
Exactly. So it's one of those things where there are a lot of positive things to come out of this match still. I think, confidence boosters for sure. But it's just one of those things where, 2 points dropped still hurts a little, but, in the standings, ain't too bad. But getting into the post-match quotes, Frank de Boer, he mentioned that we could have deserved more, but it's our first draw in an away game. That's something. But when you are so close to 3 points, and when you see the results of other games, it's quite bitter to only get 1 point. Agreed there. It was a team effort, and from this we can build on. This is an effort this is what I want to see from the team that wants the challenge to win MLS. This is an effort I want to see every game, and not only home games, but also away games. And so, agreed. Yeah, I think that definitely the effort was probably our best one, sans Josef, for sure. Parkhurst went on to say, "We are disappointed that we tied the game. It's a game we should have won. Coming into the game, we wanted to win. But it's a better performance on the road than the last one. Montreal is a good team, and it's challenging to come up here and play. We were close to being able to close it out 1-0, and we had a good response when they did tie it up. Overall, a lot of things to be pleased about tonight." Agreed, and I think they sum it up pretty nicely. So that does it for the match reviews and gets us to the news. And how do the standings look, Tanner?
So despite not winning, Columbus Crew did us a massive solid. They beat the crap out of, not really, well, they kind of did, out of Philadelphia. And because of that, Philadelphia and Atlanta United are now tied. But because MLS has very interesting tie-breaking rules in which the first tiebreaker is actually wins, and the second tiebreaker is then goal difference, both of which Atlanta United have a leg up on Philadelphia, and that wins, they cannot catch us because they have drawn a lot more games, we have lost them, we have more wins. They're not catching us in wins. If Atlanta United take care of business and beat New England Revolution on Sunday, they will finish second in the Eastern Conference, which means if you win your games, you will have the chance to host 2 games at home and only have to go on the road in the Eastern Conference Finals should Atlanta United advance that far, and also should NYCFC not lose. So, you have a good chance to be in front of the Bens, despite, again, not winning. NYCFC, they clinched first place. We all saw that coming. As of right now, though, if the playoffs started today, and if Atlanta United beat the New England Revolution, we'll be playing the New England Revolution in the first round on October 19th.
Right. But the scenarios if we don't, that's where it's really going to be interesting as well, because it could be any of the teams. I mean,
Yes.
It's so close between pretty much 3rd and 7th. It's just, if we drop down to 4th, or 3rd rather, then it really could be where, we could be playing a Toronto, a DC,
Red Bull.
And I think the most palatable opposition that we want to face is New England Revolution.
Despite the fact that they actually beat NYCFC this past weekend, which makes no sense whatsoever, but it is MLS. And just as a reminder, on decision day, NYCFC will be playing at the Philadelphia Union. So even if Atlanta doesn't win, if NYCFC beats Philadelphia, or as long as we match results with Philadelphia, I should say, Atlanta United will finish in second place.
Right. So, it is actually going to be pretty tasty, but I think overall it's still MLS going MLS.
Honestly, as far as decision day goes, this is going to be one of the best decision days, I think, for MLS in a long time, because you have all that jostling for seeding in the East, and out West, it's the same thing. But out West, you have teams, there's so many crazy, wild scenarios out West. Think about this. Despite the fact that they were definitely the worst team for probably the first half of the season, even worse than Cincinnati, and had crazy things like coaches getting fired, the literal plague, Colorado could still make the playoffs.
Yeah.
The Colorado Rapids can make the playoffs in the Western Conference because MLS.
Yep. And that's where I think there's a love and a hate for that type of scenario to happen in terms of some team that is doing that. I mean, it's great, but then it's also like
the literal plague, AJ. They had the literal plague. 2 through 7, and I think 9 through 2 actually.
I'm not hating on the Rapids. I'm hitting on the scenario that you can be that mediocre and still just trudge in. Basically,
LAFC and then everyone else. Anyone could finish anywhere at this point in time. It is wild.
Yeah. But moving on from that, Julian Gressel's goal against the Montreal Impact is up for goal of the week, so voted the winner. And but it's got some pretty tasty competition actually against that as well.
Atuesta had a pretty
the
good
2
goal.
LAFC goals. Hopefully they just kind of vote against each other pretty much, and then
that'd be great.
Julian Gressel wins. These things really, I mean, all in all, they don't matter. But it's always good to win these polls, so and make the rest of MLS fans mad. But so moving on from that, Justin Miram is pulling out of declined the Iraqi call-up because the MLS playoffs are starting at a kind of weird time that if he did go, it would be some crazy travel on him. He would be probably just absolutely knackered. So and
that's why there's that gap between the end of the regular season and the start of the playoffs is the October international break.
Right. And so with that, I mean, I think it's wise on his part because I think he wants to be able to do his best and play a part for the MLS playoffs. So
And another positive, Josef Martinez will also not be going on international duty after he released a pretty scathing letter talking about his disagreements and the toll that the Venezuelan national team was taking on his mental health. He talked about how bad of a time he had at the Copa America and how stressful and how much of a negative impact it had on his mental health and mental well-being. So Josef will not be playing for Venezuela anytime soon, or at least until they change the coaching staff. I don't think many people in Atlanta are too unhappy about that.
I don't think so because he's had some kind of spells where he did get injured on international duty, but obviously he is injured now, so he won't be able to go anyway. But
he did post a video of him running.
He did, and that blew the internet, at least Atlanta United social media, just ablaze.
Did not expect that.
Yeah, and it's always great to see, someone that just has that fire be able to get back on their feet, literally. But yeah, and so it's good in that regard. But obviously, he's still a ways away. His timetable still to be determined. They pretty much, I don't think, will actually announce it, just for the opponent's sake. They're gonna kind of make them be in the dark so that it'll be a surprise if he is able to come back. But
you could do a solid. Well, I mean, it didn't matter because both of our teams are trash. But how Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was like, Paul Pogba's out and Marcus Rashford's out, and then on Monday somehow they're both starting. Boom. Where it's like, hey, I mean, again, we're both
didn't make a difference.
Hey, Tottenham lost 7-2 today.
Exactly.
But
Sorry,
to say, not sorry, to be, Josef might not be in, play those mind games, and then maybe the team plans, okay, Josef Martinez is out, and then Josef Martinez is starting, and then it's just like, well, that changes everything.
Exactly.
So,
the whole game plan goes out the window if you're that opponent.
Mind games.
Yes,
Do it.
Perfect. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being in the dark if that leaves the opponents in the dark. But so moving on from that, Tata Martino was speaking about MLS, said just some gold things like he usually does. He says, in Atlanta, I felt like a boy playing video games. We built a team out of nowhere, and fortunately, everything worked out. Worked out it did with the MLS Cup, for sure. He also said, quote, MLS is already seen as a step up, or a step to jump to Europe. At some point, it will have the same significance as the NBA does. And that's on the Spanish newspaper AS. And so, I mean, do you buy that? I mean,
I'm not sure what he means by the NBA bit, because the NBA bit's like asserting that it's the best league in the world, and I don't see that happening for a while. Because everyone comes here for the NBA, and they don't come to the NBA and then go to Europe. So I'm not sure what he meant by that, but you know what? All I can say is I miss Tata Martino. I really miss him because it was just, you felt when you lost, it was like, okay, we lost. It wasn't just like, why did we do what we did?
Yeah.
Now it's just like, why are we doing what we're doing?
Yeah, and at least at least for a while, the Tata Martino, I think the stamp of his style is just still, it's apparent in this team.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I miss pragmatism.
It's crazy, I know. But so anyway, we'll move on from that. And Atlanta United players, they got to guess their FIFA 20 ratings in a video put out by the team, and some funny things came out of that. I think some of the players already pretty much know their ratings pretty much because they play the game so damn much that they already know. Exactly. Franco, probably Eric Rometti. I mean, it's just like, so when they were guessing, they were very close anyway. Flo Pogba and Dion Pereira, they were a little far off. I think maybe they played less of that, maybe. And then Gressel, I think it was Parkey, and I can't remember the other person that was with them. Yeah, Nagby. Yeah, and they had a fun time guessing their their ratings as well. Pretty off as well. But my bone to pick is and I think the players are right. Franco Escobar at 70 pace.
That's really low.
He's one of the fastest players on the team.
His defending lower than Eric Rometti as well.
Yeah, that's. And it was like
you could tell he was not happy.
Yeah, Eric Rometti was like, shake my hand, and Franco was like, no, not having it. Screw that. And you might have noticed our backdrop just dropped, but yeah, this happens from time to time. But it was a fun video, and if you haven't checked it out, go check it out on their social media. But a heartwarming thing with the Unite and Conquer Cancer series that Atlanta United have been putting out. It was Brad Guzan and Tyson, and Guz learning how to floss is that's probably something we all didn't really need to see, but it was funny to see nonetheless.
But we're glad we did.
And I mean, I think as many of the people that are slightly older than the crowd that does floss was very discombobulated in actually flossing. So just
pretty sure if you're older than 16 and you don't play Fortnite, you can't do it.
Yeah, probably. But I think there's some coordinated folk that are in their 20s probably that could show us up. But yeah, I mean,
I end up looking like the the big inflatable men that you put in front of a car.
Oh, sure, exactly.
Place.
Yeah.
It's just and it's just all over the place.
Their hands are up though.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying in terms of the hands never being in the right place, it'd be the same thing, but at the bottom, it's
gotcha.
Just a bit, yeah.
All right. But moving on to Atlanta United 2.
Whoa. Don't forget about the champions.
Oh yes. Brad Guzan was in, the Bleacher Report football series called The Champions, kind of a Bachelor or kind of just a reality show kind of parody. And yeah, the fact that we made a cameo in that
twice,
kind of cool.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's this like little cartoon parody of the Champions League and the teams that are in it. And for some reason, Brad Guzan was in it, and also the Atlanta United bus pulled up, which was funny. And so yeah, a couple of shout outs in that. I'd like to continue to see them. That would be a funny running joke throughout the whole series. But if you haven't checked it out, check it out. It is very funny.
Yeah,
indeed.
And why we're in it, I can only speculate, but I think it's because Bleacher Report is owned by Turner Sports, and Turner Sports is based in Atlanta, and there you go. I mean, ergo facto, and then maybe what the Atalanta thing.
Yeah, because Atalanta from Italy is in the Champions League, but no one knows where they are, so it's like you can probably joke about it. They're Bergamo, by the way.
Exactly. But anyway, now we move on to Atlanta United 2, and Andrew Carlton and George Campbell, both of our homegrowns, have made the list of 20 under 20 for the USL. So congrats to them for that. So I think that's a pretty prestigious achievement there. And there's only 20 guys being selected from that. So in terms of their matches, on Wednesday night, they defeated Indy 11 2-1, and Andrew Carlton, he netted a game winner, and they are on a good streak.
And George Campbell got his first professional goal. So
Yeah.
those two guys, that's probably why they're in the list.
Yeah.
It's actually a really nice goal from Carlton. He did a guy in and then slotted home. His form has been improving a little bit recently for the twos now that he's playing consistently. So you got to hope that he can continue that path and get his mind right. And we'll see if he can make an impact for the first team at any point in time in the future.
Hopefully so. And then they picked up a 1-1 draw on Saturday against St. Louis FC. And that familiar guy, Amir Bashti, scored his first goal as well to allow us to pick up that 1-1 draw. Great to see him on the score sheet. He blasted that home. That was a good goal. And that puts the unbeaten streak at 5 for Atlanta United 2, which is
something new and different.
New team record. That's great. And they'll play the Pittsburgh Riverhounds on Saturday, and they have 3 more matches, including that one, for the regular season. And so, wow. I mean, that's the fact that they have more games than us left is still kind of interesting, but it's because this truncated MLS season for 2019. And then lastly, Atlanta United 2 defender Tyler Ruffin has announced that he's going to retire at the end of the season. The 31-year-old center back has played for us for the last 2 seasons, and so congrats on a great career. And I mean, he's just one of those guys that kind of has floated around USL, but
he's actually a native of Marietta, Georgia, if I read correctly.
That as well.
So I don't think he has to go far from home to go to training.
Exactly. Yeah, I know, right? I mean, that's just like, pretty much being where you were born, and then just, wow, that's...
It's coming full circle, definitely.
Yeah, incredible. But, that does it for the news, and it gets us to our buy or sell segment. And simply, we say that if we buy or sell an Atlanta United topic. First topic is Carlos Vela will break Josef Martinez's goal-scoring record of 31. Buy or sell?
Buy. For playing Colorado, he's going to play. He'll probably get a penalty for like his 13th penalty of the season, whatever the hell it is. He's gotten way too many. Of course he's going to score. It's so frustrating, but with how they play, with how he's winning MVP this year. I hate him.
I mean, it's hard to not say buy, but I'm gonna sell it. I'm gonna say that there's some magic that happens that
maybe Prairie Dogs get plague again and they leave Carlos Vela home.
I'm gonna say that it's still he has only tied the record. And
if it's a penalty, I'm gonna be freaking pissed.
I know, right? Because I mean, there's a very strong chance that might happen. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things. I don't want to see it. But
I don't want to see it either. I hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Plague.
But next topic is you will buy FIFA 20 by yourself.
I'm selling that right now. I'm not buying FIFA 20. It is broken. I'm a career mode man. And having read everything and seen what's been going on and having played the beta, or the closed beta, the questions for the press conferences got old because they use the same ones over and over again. And apparently every single team plays the reserves against you or in the computer games, and it's just kind of broken right now. And again, I'm a career mode guy, and if it's not working, then what's the point for me playing it? I don't play foot because I'm not going to get roped into spending money on gambling. So yeah, until they fix it, and mostly because I'm mad at EA Sports and EA Games right now, I'm not going to buy it for a little while. I do want to get it at some point, maybe when it's on sale and they fix it. But right now, nope.
Yeah, it's gotten really mixed reviews for sure. I think it's somewhere floating around like an 81 on Metacritic, but it's still very positive, I think. But it's still one of those, I mean, I want to check out Volta, but that's one of those things you can go to
really
GameStop
hard.
for.
Yeah.
And you know, try it out. But I think it's also, I mean, the fact is that FIFA does kind of turn out pretty much the same exact game, just add a few new features. You know, the whole, you know, the Hunter career mode
that's
thing.
done with now.
Yeah,
Volta's hard. I played that, and it was difficult. I could not figure out how to score. It was just, the shooting controls are not very refined in that.
Mm-hmm.
I hope PES is better. Like, I really hope PES starts improving again. Most of our viewers don't remember PES actually used to be better than FIFA. I know you remember that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that. PES was a better game. But it hasn't been for a while after it lost all its licensing. But honestly, I'd like PES to get better so it would challenge EA and challenge FIFA to get better because, most of the time they add some nice little, like, whatever cosmetic features, but the game itself hasn't really improved. The physics have continued to struggle, I think, ever since they've been using Frostbite, but I'm not going to get into the details of that. It could be better, and I think that's the biggest thing with it. And it's paying $60 for just updated rosters is kind of a tough pill for me to swallow. Right. And they added the bins in the last game, so I'm still happy.
Yeah, exactly. You can still buy FIFA 19 and maybe get that. This is not an anti-FIFA 20 ad or anything like that, or like a campaign, but it's just
I don't like EA
our
right
honest feelings about it. But so that does it for buy or sell and gets us to mailbag. You guys send in these questions through IG story. Please continue to do so, and we might answer your question in the future. First question comes from Dean Hufford. 4. Who has impressed you more playing as a wingback, Gressel or Miram?
It's actually a really interesting question. I think it's hard for... I'm going to say Miram, and here's why. I knew that Gressel could play wingback after last season. If you'd have asked me this question last season with it's impressing me that he's playing it, yes. But I think going into the season, we kind of figured that that is his best position on this team, and we know what he can do in that position. He's comfortable there. But I did not know that Josef Miram could play wingback. And because of that, he's definitely impressed me. He's obviously not perfect. Defensively, he has his issues. But the way he's been able to adapt to the role and what he's added to the team by allowing him to be on the pitch via playing that role, it's been impressive, and he adds another dimension, and I really like what that does. Yeah,
I don't think Josef Miram even knew that he could play wingback before this season, or if when he first played the position this season. So yeah, I mean, definitely he's taken into it like a duck to water because I mean, it's one of those things where he has been getting forward for us. That's what we were lacking, a person that was competent on the ball to be able to give service from the left, and that was, I think the X factor that really allowed him to kind of be that stalwart in the left wing back position. And so absolutely, I agree. It's got to be Miram because of the same reasons there. And I mean, the fact that we have two pretty attacking wingbacks with that quality is fantastic anyway. So next question comes from A. Watkins 123. Is Atlanta United nothing without Josef Martinez? Harsh question.
That's a bit harsh. I'm going to say no. I don't think Atlanta has performed that great since he's gone down, but obviously you're always going to suffer when you have a guy that scores the goals like he does. I think Pity Martinez, despite the result in New York, I thought he played decent, and I thought he had a pretty solid game against Montreal as well. I think Ezequiel Barco coming back helps you out a lot. You really have to look at what you get out of Tito and Brandon Vasquez. Vasquez has had his moments, but he hasn't been fantastic in the last 2 matches. He's missed some chances that I would expect him to score. Tito definitely offers you some pace and a dynamic presence on the pitch because of how he can stretch things, but I still think he's recovering his form and recovering his fitness. So you have to see what you get. But if Barco and Pity are both fit, Atlanta United are still a very strong team. Obviously, they're not with Josef Martinez, but any team when you take that player out. Look what happens to LAFC when you remove Carlos Vela, or I imagine Galaxy if you take out Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Players of their quality in MLS make a massive difference because you don't have these stacked rosters.
Right.
But I don't think they're nothing without Josef Martinez.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, I think you also see, to build on what you were saying, like a Julian Gressel who always steps up in that seed when we do need goals. goals. And I think when you have the team pretty much built around a Josef Martinez, essentially, most of the team trying to feed him the ball, I mean, it's going to be a lot different for the team when they don't have that talisman, when they're not trying to, play a certain way just to get, that striker the chances that he gets. And so, are we nothing? I don't think we're nothing. I think we still have very, very talented players. I think they just need some time to acclimate to be able to, I think put away some of the chances, because I think you saw against Montreal. I mean, there were a plethora of chances, and it's just a matter of kind of getting those reps in those positions in actual games. So, next question comes from Hype Monster. Should there be a change in tactics when we reach the postseason?
I think at this point in time, to change tactically would be very, very difficult. Tata Martino, yes, he changed, but it was for a much more pragmatic system, and you had kind of a stable season up until that point as well. Atlanta United has not had that this year. There's been a lot of changing. There's been a lot of ebbs and flows, and I think to change things drastically at this point in time could be very difficult, especially without Josef Martinez, because you're having to ask the players to acclimatize to a new system in addition to not having their best player, and that's kind of a multi-layered thing that could make things very difficult. And again, you most likely are going to be facing off against New England, and they're a very solid team. So I'd like there to be a bit more pragmatism. Yes, a bit more, being a bit more defensive, absorbing some attacks, maybe playing a Jeff Larentowicz instead of an Eric Hermeti. But I think it'd be simple tweaks. I don't think you can do massive things and change the whole system. Maybe a little bit just of the mindset and the attacking impetus that you put in the game. But outside of that, major changes, I wouldn't make any.
Yeah, I think it is one of those things where that pragmatism on the road, I think, is what is necessary. That could be the change that I think should, and I think I would want to happen in terms of because I mean, we've been pretty horrid on the road this season, pretty much the opposite, like I've said, of last season. And if we are playing a road match at Yankee Stadium, I would hope that we play drastically different from what we played this season there. So
I would play on the counter, dude, like 100%.
Exactly.
I know that's against the MO
that's
and everything,
how we were
but it's
successful
just
last
like
season.
that's how we beat them last year. It's like, look, play Jeff Larentowicz, start him from the get-go. If you have to play a three-man midfield proper to clog things up, to allow you to be more disciplined defensively, do it. You cannot leave yourself open on the road in MLS. You cannot leave yourself open against the top teams, and not even just MLS. You wouldn't do it in Europe. You know, if you're playing in the Champions League, you have to be smart, compact. Don't get 5-6 guys ahead of the ball when you're on the road. You have the players and the pace to play on the break. That would be the only way. The only changes I would make is for that, and for a game away to NYCFC. But that, or if you have an MLS Cup away to an LAFC, that makes sense. But outside of that,
Yeah, we can't be caught in one-on-one battles, going to goal, because it's just like, we got torched, obviously, against NYCFC. I think, we would have to probably sit a little bit further than we usually do, and not try to play them straight up. It's just unfortunate, but that's a way and a tactic that has worked. So next question comes from Amanu DeWeet. Now that Parkey has announced he's retiring, who should be the captain next season?
I mean, I think a lot of that depends on who's here next season.
Yes.
I think the roster could see a lot of turnover this year with MLS rules probably changing and some player contracts possibly coming to their conclusion. But I mean, for me, I think there's two players that will definitely be here next season. I think that's Brad Guzan, and I think that's Josef Martinez.
Yeah.
For me personally, I would give it to Josef Martinez, but I could see why it could go to, say, a Brad Guzan or something. But Josef, from his attitude on the pitch, his attitude in the training ground, and the respect that he holds in the locker room, I'd love to see him as our captain, and it would make just so much sense. And it has something else that you need to put on the trophy, that armband.
Yeah.
Not the trophy, the statue.
The statue, exactly. It definitely really kind of pretty much relies on who's actually in the team, like you were saying. And that's a massive thing. If they are in the team and if it stays like kind of mostly status quo, obviously you have a few guys that you can kind of choose from. The two that you mentioned, as well as maybe an LGP, as well as maybe a Julian Gressel, maybe even a Darlington Nagbe if he's again in the squad. And so
Please still be here.
It's one of those things where it's you prefer it to be an outfield player. I think Josef is already kind of a spiritual leader anyway. It's I mean, I don't think you could go wrong with Josef Martinez, Julian Gressel. They all they both show very, very strong leadership qualities. Yeah, I mean, it's I think, again, yeah, it could be either one of those, and I'd be happy with that. So, last question comes from Oso de Costa. What do you think will be a more important acquisition this offseason? A center back or a central defensive midfielder?
Number 2, central defensive midfielder, 1,000%. With the emergence of Miles Robinson this seaseason, and assuming you hold on to an LGP, even if you say lose an LGP, but you still have a Franco Escobar, if you want to play with a back 3 or a back 4, that it doesn't matter. Jeff Lawrence might be retiring. You might be losing Darlington Nagbe. You have to get a central defensive midfielder, especially if MLS rules loosen up and you can afford to get a higher quality central defensive midfielder. Someone who's both good on the ball but can read the game and break up play is vital. That's something this team is missing. Clearly, that's why Remedi and Nagbe struggle at times, because Remedi, for all the running that he does, positionally, he's not great, and he could possibly be a little bit tidier on the ball as well. So for me, if you can get someone to sit at the base of that midfield and anchor it and provide a cover to your defense and some cover to Miles Robinson, that would be a massive addition to Atlanta United.
Right, especially if Jeff Lawrence does move on, if he retires, or if he, I don't know. I mean, he's 36. And that's the crazy part. He hasn't announced anything about retiring. So, I mean, he's that type of perfect guy. In his prime, he would be that person that would be fitting that profile. But he's not. And so, yeah, I think I agree. It definitely has to be a midfielder. It has to, because, yes, at center back, I think we've found that we can find, some options that, can kind of, in the steed of those type of things. And definitely I want an LGP to stay because, on his day, he's still one of the best center backs in the league. So, yeah, I agree. It's a midfielder. So that does it for the mailbag and gets us to the match preview. And it's decision day. It's New England Revolution, and it's at Mercedes-Benz. Everybody plays at the same time, 4 p.m. Eastern time. And, yeah, I mean, it's, I don't... There's a lot of ways we could approach this. We could play them how we are normally going to set up and, really just, do how we normally do. Or, we can play them differently and then hope for a win. There's a few ways because, yeah, I think the onus and the focus should be on getting the W, because that gets us a higher seed and, we can worry about the other things as they come. But if we try to mess about, maybe there's some other things that, we might drop to third, and then there's some other things. It really, it starts to encompass of, like, what is Frank de Boer going to do? Is he going to play his full hand or not?
For me, personally, I play the full hand. You're not, what you have available to you as a full hand. I still don't think Ezequiel Barco's going to start this game. I think we'll come on as a second half substitute, and you're not going to have Josef Martinez. So off the bat, you're not going to look like what you could potentially look like come the 19th if New England Revolution is the team that you do indeed end up matching up with. They want to come and beat Atlanta United, and let's make that clear. Sure. They don't want to come back to Mercedes-Benz Stadium. They prefer to play a different team, whether that be a Philadelphia or a Toronto. I think you don't mess about, but your team's already going to be different regardless of who you play. Play your system, play how you're supposed to. Don't mess about, because if you mess about and try to be cute, they're more than capable of coming here and beating Atlanta United as well.
And they've shown recently that they just beat NYCFC, who, maybe they were just a little distracted. Bam, there it is. They lost 2-0. And so, I think, Revolution are in a kind of strange bit of form as well. I mean, yes, they beat NYCFC, and they got into the playoffs for the first time since 2015, but in their last 6...
That's their only win.
Yeah, that's their only win. They've lost 1 and drawn 4. So, yeah, it's been a very spotty, kind of shaky bit of form, and for us, yeah, I mean, we've lost 3, won 2, and drawn 1 in our last 6, so we are in just as spotty of a form as well, just slightly better. But in terms of our previous matchups against them, everybody remembers that 7-0 win at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I mean, that's just, I think, one of our hallmark wins. Still so fun. And I think I will watch the highlights here and there just to, make myself smile just once in a while. But also, in that 2017 year, we drew them 0-0 in that slogfest at Gillette Stadium. In 2018, it was a 2-1 win at home and a 1-1 draw on the road. And then in 2019, we played them earlier this year on the road. It was a 2-0 win. So we play them pretty strong so far with a few draws in there. But in terms of how they play, they're definitely, a team that likes to create a lot of chances through balls, through long balls, and really attempt a lot of crosses from the wings. And so
sounds like they're dangerous on the counter.
Yeah, and so we have shown that we've been a little frail at that lately, and especially with a ball over the top. It's been just kind of our undoing, and it's something that we need to curb. They are a team that, they probably won't keep the ball a whole lot, so we'll probably have the lion's share of that. And they are quite bad at defending set pieces and against defending the attacks on the wing. And so, that really bodes well for us because we have some pretty strong wing play with Justin Meram and Julian Gressel. So, they are a team that I think, they could set up to really try to frustrate us and then, get that, direct ball over the top, and then it's, game on. They're going to try to, score and be efficient from the few chances that they get. And hopefully, in our regard, we are just equal to it and at least can, just stop any of their attacks like that. But, Parkhurst, he had something to say about this, going in that it's a home game and we want to go into the playoffs feeling good. We want to and expect to win that game. New England is a team that's played really well since the change of managers. It's always difficult this time of year. It's going to be it's going to be tough, but regardless of what they do for us in the standings, of what that does for us in the standings, we expect to win our home games. And so, they have the right mindset going in. Bruce Arena has really, brought them up, and somehow, Brad Friedel, was pretty much, he was almost asking to be fired earlier this season, I think.
He was terrible.
And Bruce Arena has kind of somehow miraculously gotten them into the playoffs.
I hate Bruce Arena.
And they actually have some talent in their team though, because some of their players to watch: Carlos Heel at 10 goals and Gustavo Bo at 9 goals. They're really spreading the goals around. And Teal Bunbury, the infamous Teal Bunbury, who's been around forever, has 6 goals. And they have some talent, I think, that could put the ball in the back of the net. It's just a matter of us, making sure that they cannot do that. So in terms of their injured players, Edgar Castillo, he remains out with a rib injury, and that pretty much is it. So they have mostly a full squad to really select from, and of course we have Josef Martinez out and Breck Shea out. So, we have a lot of, options as well, but what are we going to do, right? So, in terms of the keys to this match, there's, I think, like we said, or like I said just a second ago, because of their weak defending on the wings, we can attack them with Julian Gressel and Justin Meram. I think they are, I think, primed for this type of match for sure, because their service is generally pretty damn good. Justin Meram, usually going up to the byline and crossing it with his left as well. We will find a variety of chances, I think.
And I think that'll put a highlight on Brandon Vasquez as well, assuming he starts. Mm-hmm. Because if there's good crosses coming into the box, he has to be able to use his physicality. He has that size that you don't really get from a lot of players. Although Josef does, jump like an NBA player, but still, Brandon Vasquez could find himself in some very nice opportunities with the ball coming into the box to hopefully put some goals away. But I think that leads into the second one, which is Atlanta has to finish their chances.
Yeah.
Because if we don't finish our chances against the New England Revolution, you could see a situation like a Montreal where you draw, or like a Columbus Crew where you lose at home. If you faff about and don't take advantage of their defensive deficiencies, then you could find yourself on the wrong end of a scoreline. And keeping that concentration and making sure you don't give away those easy chances and then concede, that's something that has been plaguing Atlanta United recently, both home and away. So it's going to be really important that not only do they bury their chances, but they stay switched on defensively at all times when we have the ball.
Right, and that's where it is where they love to attack down their right, and so on our left, LGP or a Miram or whomever plays, yeah, we have to make sure that we control them and really limit their chances because, yeah, I mean, it is, yeah, they've, I think teams have learned to target us at our right and left center back positions. So, yeah, we have to be wary of that. Also, we have to use the supporters' energy because I think, you know, they know when we're at home, it's just, it's a different ball game, you know, and they know that if they're feeling just even a little bit fatigued, that they can draw up from just the energy that's in the stadium. And so, yeah, they need to absolutely at least, you know that it's decision day, know the stakes, and, you know, I think play accordingly. But yeah, so that gets us to our predicted starting 11. Let's go through the lines here.
And you and I agree at literally every position on this.
Yeah,
one,
okay. So, yeah, we'll go in Guzan, of course, between the sticks. We have, I think, Escobar, Robinson, and LGP. Unfortunately, Pkwy doesn't play a part, I think, in this, but, you know, I think, you know, these guys can do the job, and I think organizing against the New England Revolution, it's a weaker side. I think we'll be okay. Hopefully we will anyway.
And you have 2 weeks, and if your first team's fit between now and the playoffs, your first team's fit, you play them. They need that game action. That's important with the 2-week layoff.
Right.
So getting into the midfield, we both have Gressel at right wing back, obviously. Then Jeff Larentowicz in the middle of the park, Darlington Nagbe, and then Justin Miram. I think it's really important that Jeff Larentowicz play this game.
Yes.
The team is different when he is there. This is a team that loves to play on the counter. You will have most of the possession. And Jeff Larentowicz provides you a calming presence in the middle. He is a true 6. He will sit there. He will help dictate possession. He will be able to switch the ball for you, but he will also be able to sniff out counterattacks if and when you lose the ball. For all the good work that Eric Remedi does, his positioning is definitely one of his weaker points. But that is not what Jeff Larentowicz has as a weakness. He knows when and where teams want to attack, where they want to go, and he stops that from happening. And I think that will be a vital part for Atlanta United, not just in this game, but I think moving into the playoffs as well.
Yeah, especially if there's a team that wants to hit us on the counter. I mean, that's, you know, he's that guy that sits in the middle of the park that can control that and will mitigate any of those type of chances, or most of the chances anyway. But that gets us to kind of a more forwards anyway. So in the number 10 position, I think we have Emerson Hyndman, who has been doing a great and solid job of late. And yeah, I mean, he provides that solidity in case of you know, any defensive actions that need to happen from that 10 position as well. And plus that back heel flick was tasty, and as he always does, he loves that 1-2. So you know, I think he returns in that seat, and I think Barco does come on later at some point. I just don't think he starts, and so that means that PT and Vasquez start for both of us up top. And I think it's been kind of, yeah, PT and Vasquez kind of have a connection together as well as Vasquez and Miram. So it's been, you know, in terms of that service to him, in terms of Vasquez, it's been good. It's just a matter of him putting away his chances. Yeah, he's just got to be more composed and have that poise to put away these chances. But yeah, I think Tito does come on afterwards, but in terms of starting this match, I'm just not sure that there's going to be really any space for him to play in terms of getting him behind or any of that. It's just going to be a little bit tougher. So in that regard, then, let's get to our score predictions. What do you got?
I've got a 2-1. I think that for Atlanta United, scoring 2 goals is something they struggle to do without Josef Martinez, but I think at home against New England Revolution, if you get 2, you can definitely get all 3 points. But at the same time, I do think New England will score. We just have not been great defensively recently, and it seems that we have a goal ship in us every single game. And they're dangerous on the counterattack, and they've been playing decent against good teams, and they want to go out and put in a good performance and a good shift. So I think they will get a goal, but I think Atlanta United takes all 3 points.
Yeah. Very similarly, we have the exact same predicted scoreline. It is 2-1 for me as well, because yes, it is going to be difficult to put the ball in the back of the net, because we just kind of haven't in Joseph Steed, but I think we have enough in this, and I'm hoping that maybe Miles Robinson gets a headed goal, because yeah, he's been pretty much winning so many balls in the box. It's just a matter of one of these days he's going to put on target, and he's going to put him away and get it in the net. And so hopefully that happens. I think agreed, yes. We've been a little bit fragile at the back, and so yes, that will happen, but getting 3 points nonetheless, and us getting pretty much second place in the East. I think most people would not have guessed that in the 8th game of the season for sure. And so I think all in all, it speaks to the mediocrity in the East, but also I think, the turnaround that has happened. And I think, yeah, I mean, if that were, it's a pretty decent season, as well as 2 trophies to go in that. Yeah, it ain't too bad. So, yeah. That does it for the match preview, and that gets us to our question of the day.
And your question of the day is this: would you trot out a different lineup or use different tactics against the New England Revolution to throw them off for a potential playoff rematch come 2 weeks from now? Get down in the comments below and let us know what you guys have to say.
All right, guys, it's giveaway time, and so to thank you guys for your support, all you got to do is comment your score prediction in the comments below for our match against the New England Revolution, and we'll randomly choose a winner of that Tito Villalba signed Atlanta United ball, and we'll announce it on next week's show. So get in the comments, let us know, and we'll choose the winner. But that's it for the show. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Smash that like button and share this video because it really does help us a lot. And for Tanner, I'm AJ. Thank you guys so much for watching.